Hello, dear listener, and Merry Christmas. This is Dan speaking, and I'm in Chicago. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a wonderful time. We haven't put out a recent episode since Halloween, as you may have noticed, but I always like to mark Christmas, which is a wonderful time for ghost stories. And luckily, our friends at the former wonderful podcast, A Very British Horror, have allowed us once again to release a gem from their archives, in which Chris and Paul will be discussing The Signalman, the 1976 instalment of the BBC's venerable Ghost Stories for Christmas strand, a strand which goes back to the late 60s, has appeared over the years in many forms and continues to this day. The Signalman was adapted from a short story by Charles Dickens. Most of the films in the Ghost Stories for Christmas sequence are based on stories by M.R. James, but not this one, and indeed not the latest one, which is Mark Gatiss's adaptation of E.F. Benson's story, A Room in the Tower, which you will find on the BBC iPlayer as we speak. It's just been premiered on BBC Two just a few hours ago as I'm recording. In terms of finding The Signalman on streaming, you might be able to find it on BBC iPlayer. If you're in America, it's on BritBox. You might also be able to spot it on Talking Pictures TV. I'm sorry that because I'm not in the UK at the moment, I don't have access to all of the UK streaming services that I normally would, but hopefully you can find it somewhere. It's well worth checking out, as I'm sure Chris and Paul will tell you all about. If you want to see it before you listen to their talk, then that would probably be for the best. But if not, maybe their discussion will whet your appetite to see it. In terms of episodes of our main podcast coming up, well, as I say, Christmas is a good time for ghost stories, and we wanted to add to that. So we've been recording some chats about the 1989 British TV movie version of The Woman in Black, and that episode will drop over Christmas this year. So between now and the 6th of January, that's what I call Christmas, that's the period, we'll be dropping an episode about The Woman in Black. Also, we have coming up in January an episode which we've talked about in previous episodes. It's Howard and myself discussing the Amicus movies. That episode will drop for general listeners in January and be free to all, but it is available at the moment to Patreon supporters only if you go to our Patreon page, and there will be a link in the show notes for that. It only remains for me to say thank you to Chris and Paul for letting us host their episode about the Signalman, and to wish them a very Merry Christmas. And I would like to wish the same to you, listener, once again. Thank you very much for lending us your ears, and I hope you have a wonderful Christmas in prospect and in fact. It's time to move over and let Chris and Paul take control. Enjoy. I certainly will.
What if one of you is the monster?
Monster? We're British, you know.
Hello, I'm Chris Denton.
And I'm Paul Monk.
And we are
A Very British Christmas Horror.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yes. This is a special programme, one of a series that we'll be running, covering ghost stories for Christmas. Which ghost story are we going to kick off with, Paul?
We are talking about that famous Charles Dickens ghost story, which normally told around Christmas. No, not that one, but The Signalman.
The Signalman, which was, of course, adapted by the BBC, I think in 1976, as part of their Ghost Stories for Christmas strand. Although, on the title card, it just says A Ghost Story. It doesn't say Ghost Story for Christmas. I guess you had to fill in the blanks.
Or they were just covering their bets, so it could be repeated. presumably someone else in here.
That's quite
Because
clever.
they're kind of limiting themselves, aren't they?
Because it's not a very festive story, is it? I mean,
Well, no.
Fantastic tradition in the 1970s of showing these ghost stories around about Christmas. I don't know if this tradition predates the 1970s. And this particular episode is actually basically at the end of the good ones in the original run. So Lawrence Gordon Clark, the great director and earlier on in the series writer as well of these ghost stories, basically ran out of M.R. James stories he thought were suitable for adaptation, or that the BBC could afford to adapt in the way he wanted. So he cast the net wider and he came across this Charles Dickens story. And, what a story it is. So, should we do a bit of a summary of the plot?
Okay, yep. So, what it involves is, as the title would suggest, a signalman who's stationed in a signal box near a railway tunnel. And he's greeted at the beginning by somebody who's not named, who in the story is the narrator, but obviously in this adaptation he's not a narrator, he's just this sort of stranger.
It's a mysterious stranger, isn't
yes, he is.
One of the first things he says is, I was incarcerated or confined, but now I'm free.
Confined, yeah.
So makes you wonder, why was he confined? Is this some kind of lunatic or prison?
Yeah,
prison for a long time?
some sort of illness, because you'd have been confined if you'd had tuberculosis or something like that, wouldn't you?
I suspect illness, because he seems in every other respect to be a good Victorian gentleman.
Yes, yeah.
He's set class above the signalman.
Yes, indeed. So for whatever reason, and it's not really a reason we ever really find out, apart from we sort of do, is that he's gone down to talk to this signalman about something.
Just to make conversation.
Just to make conversation, as you kind of would. But the signalman seems a little bit twitchy and a little ill at ease with things. And then it turns out through various conversations that the signalman has been seeing an apparition of a figure.
And this apparition has been using the same words that our mysterious stranger was using to introduce himself, which was, hello, below there.
Below there.
And also a gesture to go with it.
Yeah, waving gesture, and yes, covering his eyes and face with one hand and waving frantically with the other.
Yes, so the signalman comes across initially as quite weird on account of being freaked out by someone saying hello to him.
Yeah,
I mean, and in fairness, it's quite natural to say hello below there, because
it's in a cutting, isn't it?
Exactly, because he's down a quite steep, quite high bank.
Yeah, yes.
he's certainly below our traveller.
Yeah.
So that's no. We won't talk about the cast yet, apart from the signalman is played by Denham Elliott. So you immediately go, oh look, it's Denham Elliott.
Yeah.
But,
actually, and the cutting is quite nicely described in the original story as well, as this kind of damp, dark, kind of gloomy sort of place, which
I know something about this.
Right, go on.
The TV version basically captures it exactly.
Yeah.
Apart from they were very close to a rough housing estate in the West Midlands.
Oh, okay.
Apparently they had to continually fend off the local kids from chucking stones at them.
I didn't know that. But well, they did it quite well, because it does. I think that this adaptation of it captures that quite well. It's definitely got that. They obviously filmed it in fairly damp, sort of bleak conditions, so you do get that kind of feeling to it.
Yeah, it's not all like that though. When we first see them in Glorious Sunshine, don't we? Even Sunshine Down on the Track.
Do we? I don't know. Maybe. I didn't think it was. I thought it was just quite dull looking through the whole thing.
No, it's Glorious Sunshine at the beginning. No, because it's counterpointed. Because once the signalman gets over his initial hostility, the I can't call him the stranger, the guy, the Dickens,
Yes.
goes into the signal box and they have a long chat. And
saying about the Dickens thing, that's really weird, because obviously it's told in the first person in the short story, so you get the feeling that that's the narrator. He is Dickens. For some reason, the way that the actor, what was his name that did played the stranger?
He's not as famous as Denham Elliot.
No, somebody Lloyd.
Bernard Lloyd.
He was speaking, and I'm sure this is just my brain and totally coincidental. He was speaking in a way that I thought was really like Simon Callow.
Oh.
And Callow's obviously very well known for playing Dickens in a number of things.
Yeah, because he's clean shaven. They're both clean shaven.
Yeah.
Which is so you immediately don't think Dickens, but I see what you mean. The voice,
but it just reminded, but not of Dickens, because I've no idea what he sounded like. But obviously, he reminded me. The way he sounded reminded me of Simon Callow, who obviously plays Dickens.
He did
fairly frequently.
But I think the audio recordings of Dickens' voice do exist.
Ah, well, maybe that's deliberate then. I don't know.
Well, possibly. But anyway, and good deviation. Anyway, the plot. So this character falls asleep, and he wakes up, and it's evening, and it's not bright and sunny anymore. See, that's when it starts to get all murky and nasty, right? And the signalman says, something's bothering me, but I'm not going to tell you about it now. If you come again, I will tell you about it. And the guy goes, well, I've got nothing better to do than to repeatedly visit you in your signal box.
Yeah. Well, he's staying in an inn that's not very far away.
That's right.
Which is so, yeah.
But
isn't there a suggestion that he's somehow kind of feels a bit compelled to go there?
Well, there are some strange silent shots of him in the inn being sort of tormented. By something. By some sort of having some sort of unsettled night sleep or whatever, which isn't in the original story. No,
but then the original story is it's very similar. It's just very strange in that it doesn't really. Again, you don't really get an explanation as to why the guy is going and talking to him. Because it does seem like a bit of an odd thing to do, just kind of wander up.
But I think it seems odd to us.
But maybe Victorian England, that was fairly normal. I don't know. Random people would just come up and
I mentioned
chatting to you.
The class thing, and I think that's absolutely key to this. I suspect that if you were posh middle class and you saw some working class person, you could go and speak to him, and he would either punch you in the face and rob you, or disperse you, as if you were his better. Because there was Victorian society was very structured, and that was the height of the class system, wasn't it? All sorts of things.
I guess so.
So because if you or I went to a railwayman now, I don't think he would invite us into his signal box and keep us there for 3 days.
To be fair, I do quite often talk to people on the railways, but it's normally asking them why their service is so rubbish, why their trains aren't running, and how do I get to work.
But
and are you going to repay me compensation?
But this traveller is actually quite impressed with the way the signalman is doing his job. I don't think he's. No. I don't think he's even heard of delay repay.
No, he hasn't.
Mind you, I'm not sure he actually travels by train.
But he points out that it's pointed out as well that the signalman is a sort of person. I'm trying to remember how they explain it now, but is a person who has had an education or something. Is that the way they put it?
Something like natural philosophy.
Because he's started to sort of study.
Yeah, but in his spare time, he was studying maths down there because the thing about this, it's very lonely, very confined, and apart from to change the signals every so often, he doesn't actually have a lot of work to do. But if he doesn't do it properly, people die.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Which is something that he mentions he's troubled by, the responsibility of it all.
But and he keeps staring at this bell and But the second time he comes back, he reveals that.
The first time the stranger suggests that it could all be in his head, and doesn't he basically?
Well,
it could be a trick
in the first trip. The Signalman won't say what's troubling him. The second trip he does, and then as you correctly say, the travellers.
It's a trick of the eye or something like that.
Exactly, yes, and it's the wind whistling through the telegraph wires. And the Signalman's like, no, because this guy, I saw it was like a ghost, and then there was a big crash.
Yeah,
which is like. Okay, so that might have happened. So basically, the ghost has appeared underneath the lights of the tunnel, going hello below there, and some other stuff as well. And Signalman's been freaked out by this, and then later there's been a crash in the tunnel. We've already heard that a train crashing in the tunnel is horrible because of flames and death and stuff.
Compaction. Apparently based. Apparently it's likely that idea of the tunnel collision was based on the Clayton tunnel crash, wherever that was, that occurred in 1861, which is 5 years before this was written.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously the railways had started in the 1840s.
Yeah.
And
so it was still
there'd been a lot
relatively new, wasn't it?
Well, yes, and health and safety wasn't what it is now back then. So they were quite, and these are big, massive, hot engines, that explode and fall off cliffs and things like that. So there were a few accidents.
Yeah.
And indeed, as I know you're itching to tell us, Dickens himself had experience of a rail accident.
That's right. So, because he'd been involved in 1865 in a rail crash, the Staplehurst rail crash, which was happened in Kent whilst going over a viaduct. The train, what happened was the train apparently jumped a gap in the rails which hadn't been either repaired properly, which then basically caused the train to sort of, a lot of the carriages to come off the rails and off the viaduct.
Quite a serious problem.
Yeah, down into the water, the river below. Dickens was travelling in the first carriage, so he was actually okay. It was one of the ones that just kind of teetered over the edge of the viaduct. But he stayed behind and helped the whatever the emergency services turned up, but helped kind of get everybody out and help at the scene.
So
I think it was something that kind of I think it did have a bit of a profound sort of effects on him after that. I think it was something that sort of stuck with him.
This is late in his career as well. There wasn't a lot of actual writing he did after this, if I remember correctly. I'm not a Dickens scholar, it's fair to say, but yeah. So the Signalman, in some ways, is informed by true experience, which is unusual for Dickens, I think. But Christmas Carol might be true as well.
Well, yeah. There's no one with a silly name in this either. If you sort of know.
No one with any name in this.
No, that's true.
Yes.
So there wasn't a Mr. Bumblewick or something.
Anyway, back to the story.
Yes.
So then the Signalman continues, and that was like a year previously the big crash happened, and then like 6 months later there was another similar apparition, which
it's different though, isn't it? It's covering its face.
Yeah, yes. And then
I just mimed covering my face then, which obviously works well in audio.
Yeah. It's a podcast staple, that is, hand gestures. Anyway, so this second apparition, which is, I just paused to talk about this because you say coming in safe, but there's also some kind of latex mask, isn't it?
Yeah.
some kind of. I mean, like you see it very clearly. Some
Yeah.
monstrous old man with a great big
It's
mouth.
on the cover to the box set, isn't it? Or one of the box sets.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. Often the ghosts in Ghost Stories for Christmas are very subtle, and this is very unsubtle because it's broad daylight as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's quite a lot of
It still looks alright, but
there's quite a lot of steam and things around still, though, isn't there? There's some sort of.
This is basically a close-up, though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is, but there is a bit of steamy stuff floating around, I think.
Yeah, maybe I think that's actually missed because.
Missed because it. Yeah.
The train the train that this is referring to comes through a bit later, and we. I don't think we ever really know, but this lady dressed as a bride, presumably having just got married, just falls out of the train and dies.
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't. I'd love to know why.
She's dead already in the TV version, but in the story,
when she lands.
Yeah, in the story, there's again, there's some sort of struggle, and she jumps from she sort of jumps from the train.
Okay.
So it's slightly different. Whereas I don't think she doesn't really jump from the train in the TV one, does she?
She sort of just falls out the door.
Sort of falls out.
Yeah, you don't really see. I mean, her husband/widower.
Yeah.
You see him just standing there looking sombre afterwards. There's no indication of foul play making this, and it's just like, well, she's died, and this.
But he stands there also covering his face.
No,
in the same manner as the ghost.
Because he can't bear to look.
Yeah.
It's interesting. That gesture is repeated throughout this.
Yeah.
And then the signalman reveals at the end of the apparition has started bothering him for a third time.
Yeah.
But whatever's going to happen hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm powerless to do anything. What can I do?
Yeah, because he rightly points out that he could signal up both ends of the line and say that there's some sort of danger, but then they would ask him what the danger is, and he would have to say, well, I don't know, and then he's worried that he might appear mad. And
well, he says they'd sack me. What else could they do?
Yeah.
Then it's like, yeah, well, then you wouldn't have to worry about this anymore, would you? But I guess.
That's true.
I guess he'd probably then starve to death, it being Victorian England.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's not really an option for him. So then I think basically the traveller goes back, arranging to meet him again.
Yeah.
Do you think? I can't remember if there's even a third visit. That's
pretty
bad.
No,
I watched this last night.
Yeah. The next bit is him. He has that another kind of sleepless night, doesn't he, with apparitions and what's not apparitions but visions and dreams and.
Yeah.
And then when he gets up, doesn't he end up running?
Oh no! This is
no,
great.
God, there's something. Yeah.
No. This is great. So. The arrival of the apparition is signalled by this kind of really high-pitched ring of a bell that's totally different from the normal ring of the bell in the normal course of action. And the travellers profess not to hear it, although the signalman said it's happened a couple of times while he's been there, right?
Yeah.
And then as he's walking back for...
he hears something...
no, this is it. He hears the bell. The bell rings.
In his head.
And the guy, he hears it as he's walking back.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, I know what that is. And he starts running.
Yeah, that's it.
Because I mean, this guy's quite, like you say, rationalist. Oh, it's all the wind in the trees and whatever. And then after that, he just says, well, you do your duty. That's all you can do. If more people die, you still did all you could. But then his rationalism, when he hears the bell, it's just gone. Yeah. And when he gets to the... he's running, and then the signalman comes out.
Yeah.
The ghost is going, hello, below there, whatever. And, poor old signalman decides to stand in the middle of the track to try and talk to the ghost.
Yeah.
And the train.
Well, because the signalman is quite frustrated that the ghost can't tell him.
Yeah, because
what the problem is.
It's quite heroic actually.
Yeah.
The signalman isn't so freaked out about the haunting,
No.
but he's just racked with guilt because armed with this knowledge that something's going to happen, he hasn't been able to do anything, and he's like, this time I want to prevent the tragedy and whatever it is. And unfortunately, it turns out that the tragedy is him getting snacked over by a massive steam train.
Yeah.
and the payoff, which is beautiful. The traveller runs down, speaking to the train driver, the dead signalman in front of him, and the train driver's like, he wouldn't get out of the way. I stopped ringing my bell and I called down to him and I waved. And the traveller's like, oh God, what did you say? and the train driver, with the gesture which I'm going to do now for the benefit of you podcast listeners, is, hello, below there, clear the way, or something. And that's, rationalism gone, look of horror on the traveller's face, and then cut to the end credits.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and there are spoilers a bit late in the episode for me to say that.
Wow.
That was a bit of a spoiler.
That's just a given, isn't it?
So, and that's the story. So, and the main thing about this, the main reason this is remembered in itself, is Denholm Elliott's fantastic performance. Yeah. Amazing as the haunted signalman. Bernard Lloyd, very good, very effective as one of the viewer's avatar.
Yeah.
But this is.
I mean, he doesn't really do an awful lot. He's there to facilitate the telling of the signalman story, really.
Completely Denholm Elliott's show this, and indeed I understand that the casting was fortuitous. He was already too famous for this kind of thing, really.
Right.
But he liked the script, and he'd just come off a film and was available. So.
No, he's very good in it as well.
And we don't see him very much in British horror. I don't think he.
I thought you don't see him very much. I was going to say, well, I mean, because he died several years ago.
I'm aware. I'm aware because I'm a massive Denholm Elliott fan. I love him. Room with a View, Raiders of the Lost Ark, little film you may have seen.
No. Never heard of it.
No, great actor, and it's nice to see him in this ghost story. And he sells it to you, completely sells it to you.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the other main tribute of this ghost story is just how well directed it is. I mean, Lawrence Gordon Clark was the Terence Fisher of these things. I mean, this was low budget. This was quite low budget. I mean, the roots of these ghost stories are in BBC documentary films, micro budget stuff. I think it was a bit better by this time, but still, it almost comes across as lavish with because they with the tunnel. Yeah, but they run this steam train up and down. Which is that's pretty good. And then they filmed it in a real signal box, so of course it just looks, and it's all shot on film. It looks like obviously the BBC are very good at costume dramas, which I usually hate.
Yes.
And this was adapted by Andrew Davis,
the master of adaptations.
Of course, I mean he's the guy that did that Pride and Prejudice thing with Colin Firth that some people enjoyed. I didn't watch it myself, but you see, I can't actually stick usually the BBC style of costume drama. I just don't think it reflects anything good about British cultural values. But here, it's really, really effective. I mean,
well, interesting enough about the location. It was apparently filmed on the Severn Valley Railway, and the signal box in the cutting by the Kidderminster side of the Bewdley Tunnel was a fake one that they had there, but the actual interiors were filmed in a real signal box somewhere else.
Yeah, which is why it's so great. And Donham Elliott, I understand he didn't have a lot of preparation time for this. In fact, the first couple of days he had cue cards all over the place.
Right. Okay.
I'm getting my information from the BFI box set, by the way. But he also, when he's changing the signals, he looks like he's been doing it for like 30, 40 years. You know.
Well, he does it quite casually, doesn't he? Sort of like
with the cloth,
bells go, and then off he goes, and he does. He actually does. So you don't look at that and feel, well, that's a bit fake. That doesn't look like he knows what he's doing.
My father is a lifelong railway man.
Yeah.
You know, I've been around railwaymen my whole life as a result. And Denham Elliott's very convincing in this. What a great actor.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's the Gordon Clark and Denham Elliott and Andrew Davis. I mean, there's not a lot. There's nobody else of note.
No. I think one other person's credited, which is probably the train driver.
Yeah, that's right. I don't
think he's anyone.
No.
Important. Sorry, whoever you are.
Yeah. So, I think what is a real shame for me is that after they broadened out the Ghost Story for Christmas, they got the Dickens story, and it was tremendously, amazingly successful. They then, the following year, took a horrendous wrong turn and decided what would be really great is if we move these ghost stories up to date. And it's just not the same. The Victorian era, the Edwardian era, it's just so good for creepy ghost stories.
Yeah.
I understand the Stephen King thing of, it's scariest if it's like set in where you live and it could be your street and stuff. Yeah, but I never liked Stephen King, and I never liked that approach. I don't agree with it. And so I think that these ghost stories, the really effective, creepy ones, are all set in times like this when you get people more isolated, more helpless, and it's really very, very scary. Whereas, I think, to be honest, if this was set on our present day railway, if we took the Stephen King approach, right, this would just be a satire. This wouldn't be frightening at all.
I'd just be stuck in a huge delay for ages.
Exactly. I think this particular story, but that has to be set when it's set, otherwise it just cannot work.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same.
Exactly.
I think that's
the signals now are pretty much all electronic.
Well, there are no signals
run by computers. So.
Yeah, they still go wrong all the time.
They always have signal failures, which I guess is something perhaps you didn't have quite so much of. I don't know. I suppose if the person wasn't very good.
Well, I'm sure you did. I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think these railways were ever like paragons of everything all the time. But I mean, it was. I
suppose they were less busy as well.
And another thing that came from that BFI box set, the Ghost Stories for Christmas box set, which I have, which is one of my favourite things in the whole world, is that Lawrence Gordon Clark's interpretation of this story is it's not really even a ghost story. It's about fate. The railways there for industrialisation, and Denham Elliott is the signalman is the common man who just literally gets knocked over by the steam train of progress. And I can sort of see that, but
I think it's kind of pushing it a bit, but I guess so.
If you wanted to write a GCSE essay about this, you could put that in. But I just enjoy this as a tremendous, really tight, really effective 40 minutes of moderate genius.
Yeah. So it's the ghost, I think, is it's sort of like it's a warning, isn't it? I guess it's trying to warn him of it sort of echoes something that happens after each disaster.
I don't think it's a warning. I think it's marking him out as doomed. The whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything he can do about it.
No, I suppose not. I suppose it's not a warning in that sense. It almost seems to be a bit there's a sort of cyclic element to it as well, in a way that becomes background to the beginning, where the person visiting him is
really good, really tight, really.
that.
I mean, there you go. Andrew Davis gave it that. There's not a lot of waste in this.
No.
Right. Anyway.
Okay.
I think we should move on to our questions, which I've sort of probably answered.
We probably have, yeah.
But let's do it anyway, because it's a formal thing.
Yeah. Okay. So, did you like this, Chris?
Yeah, it's one of the best things in the entire world that's ever been made. Did you like this, Paul?
Well, okay. Again, it's my first time of watching this. I liked it. I did like it, a lot more than the actual Dickens story. I felt the Dickens story wasn't particularly scary. The ghosts are kind of a bit matter of fact and not really described in a way that's particularly creepy.
You're right, Charles Dickens, second-rate writer.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
yeah.
No, I know.
It aged badly.
Yeah. It doesn't. It describes the ghosts actually in a very similar way to how they're described in A Christmas Carol, which is like there's a description of it, but there's no sort of it's not really described in a creepy way. Whereas I think this works. It's a lot creepier, and I think that's to do with, again, like Denham Elliot's performance, and I think that the ghost, even though, like you said, it's entirely visible in the second time. Is it the second time you see it? Yeah. It's really creepy because you've had that little build up where the signalman's walking towards it, and you can just see it. It's sort of a bit indistinct, even though it's clearly someone standing there with a black cloak over them. But it just works. It's in the same way that you would find it creepy if you were walking along the street and there was just somebody standing there in a black cloak. It just is sort of unnerving, and it works really well. Which I guess kind of answers the third question we normally ask, which is, was it scary? We'll go back to the second one in a minute.
Was it scary? Yeah, it's scary.
It is quite creepy, yeah.
Yeah.
Creepy more than scary. I wasn't.
Well, okay. I think I would say it's scary. I mean, it's not, the very scariest thing in the entire world, but no. I think it still has the power to chill.
Yeah, no, I think so.
What was the second question?
Second one is, does it hold up as a production now, today?
Very largely yes, I would say.
Yeah, it does, except for one thing, which was fine, and I was okay with this, but then I started to notice it towards the end, which was the music. Now, a lot of these things are around this sort of time, and a lot of the time they didn't have any music through them at all. A lot of the sort of plays and that. This one does, and it's a bit synthy.
I'm afraid that was the vogue at the BBC.
Yeah. No, yeah, totally. But yeah, it sort of. I didn't notice it at first, but then later on, it started to kind of become aware of it, which is never quite a good thing.
I think it's a fair point. I'm surprised you're not immune to that. I mean, your other interests do include quite a lot of this kind of music.
Well, they do, and I do quite like that sort of music, and it was actually quite good, and it sort of worked despite itself. But I think it's just that you shouldn't really, if it's good incidental music, you shouldn't necessarily be aware of it.
Well, it's interesting. I think we'll come back to that in a future episode. So let's leave it there.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know? I think we've done this today. Yeah. As it were. And do you know what we're not going to do? We're not going to say what the next episode is. This is brilliant. This is our festive special. All I will say is this was episode 1 of 4.
Yeah.
And stay tuned. The next one will be out soon. But
we'll leave some clues.
Yes, there will be clues on social media.
Good. Yeah, well done. Yeah, on our Facebook page, which is Very British Horror on Facebook, or at Very Brit Horror on Twitter. And again, if you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at verybritishhorror@gmail.com.
Fantastic. But for now, I've been Chris Denton.
And I'm still Paul Monk.
Good night.
Bye-bye.